on to PO32, wrapping up a Friday with a power objective. I don't know what could be better than that. It is solving a multi-step inequality. Yesterday we talked about how solving two-step inequalities, pay attention around please, was very similar to solving a two-step equation, except for two little quirks. What were those two differences that we focused on yesterday when solving an inequality? If you're unsure, pay attention around, please. If you're unsure, they are written on the binder sheet for CO31. Colin?
When you divide it or multiply by a negative number, the inequalities.
Yes, when you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality symbol flips. The same is true for a multi-step inequality. What was the other thing? Yeah? You have to graph the solution. The same is true. So the only difference between CO31 and PO32 is now you get to review all those things that we did in PO7, yours says PO10, should say PO7, feel free to change it, such as variables on both sides, the distributive property, combining like terms, right? All those multi-step equation strategies can apply to multi-step inequalities, okay? Yes?
What does the COs 10 and 13 mean?
So these are our prior objectives we've done that apply to this. It should actually be PO6 and PO7, but when I changed the order and the way I taught things, sometimes I forget to change that as well, and it's one of those times. But those are previous objectives you could look at for assistance in solving multi-step inequalities. Okay? So let's just dive right in. 7n plus 5 is less than 2n minus 7. Here are situations, variables on both sides. Who remembers what we do with variables on both sides? Katie.
I know it.
Caitlin. Sorry, I was looking.
You need to move one of them to the other side.
Yes, does it matter which side you go to?
No.
No. But with inequalities, watch what happens, or just think about what will happen if we move our 7n over to the right side. What are we going to get there? Negative. Which means what are we going to eventually have to do then? We're going to have to divide by a negative, which means we're going to have to flip our sign. Also, you just moved all your variables to the right side of the inequality, which remember, when our variables on the right, it kind of complicates things when we graph. Because someone brought up the other day that you can just use the inequality symbol to see which way your graph's going to point. But remember, if your variable is on the right side, it's actually the other way, okay? So it's going to behoove you, big boy word for benefit you, right? To get your variables on the left side, okay? Not only do we avoid our negative coefficient, which would cause us to flip our sign here, but we also keep our variables on the left, which just translates better to the graph, okay? So we are going to use opposite operations to move, since we are moving it from one side to the other. Subtract 2n. And we have 5n plus 5 equals, is less than negative 7. Okay? Now, we're not going to flip our sign because our variables are on the left side, and we don't have that positive 5. We don't have that negative 5. What do we do next? Yeah?
You move the negative, or you move the positive 5 out of the
Yep. Opposite operations to move that positive 5 to the other side of the inequality. That gives us 5n is less than negative 12. Ooh, I must have been angry with my class when I made this sheet. Because this does not work out evenly. Usually when you have something that doesn't work out evenly, it's because I was mad. And so I try to punish them. And I guess I forgot to change it. I'm not mad at you. But anyway, Colin. Okay, so we can divide both sides by 5 now, and again, because that 5 is positive, it's not going to flip the sign. And you can write this as a decimal or a fraction. It doesn't make a difference to me. Decimal would be, as Colin said, negative 2.4, or you can leave it in fraction form, negative 12 fifths. Either way is fine. Okay? Your graph, mark your reference number there, negative 2.4. Open circle, and it's going to the left. Okay?
Oh, show how you check your answer.
How could you check your answer? Plug something in. What do you want to plug in, Paul? 4. So if you plug in 4, which is over here, is it going to work? No. Right? Which is fine, right? I mean, if you plug in something that shouldn't work and it doesn't work, that could confirm that you're right. Okay? So if we do that, 7 times 4 plus 5 is less than 2 times 4 minus 7. Well, our left side gives us 33. And our right side gives us 1. Is 33 less than 1? No. It doesn't work, and it shouldn't work. So we can be fairly confident that we're in the ballpark there. Yeah. -3. If we do that one, 7 times -3 plus 5 is less than 2 times -3 minus 7. So -21 plus 5 is -16. -6 minus 7 is -13. Is -16 less than -13? Yes. So it works. And it should, because -3 is in our solution range. Right? So with inequalities, you can pick something that should or shouldn't work and just see what happens. Okay? What's our strats on the next one there? You see those parentheses, what does that mean we need to do? Ethan, distributes. Remember, when you distribute into parentheses, you do it to everything in the parentheses, and you do it with multiplication. Not addition, anything else, you multiply. So 8 times 3n is 24n. 8 times -4 is -32, and that is greater than or equal to -80. Okay. Are we going to flip our sign here? No. All we need to look at is that multiplication division step. If that's positive, we will not need to flip our sign. If it's negative, then you will. Okay, so in this case, we will not. We start by adding 32 to both sides to move that constant over. And that gives us 24n is greater than or equal to -48. -80 plus 32, -48. Divide both sides by 24. And n is greater than or equal to -2. And it's greater than or equal to -2. Which, on our number line, -2, our starting point, closed circle, going right. Okay, yeah.
So, can we check it with positive 2?
You can check it with +2. Yep. Should it work? You can check it with +2. If you were to check +2 in this, should that work?
Yes.
Yes, because +2 is over here somewhere. That's in your solution set. Okay? And let's just do that quickly. 8 times 3 times 2 minus 4 is less than or equal to -80. 3 times 2 is 6. Minus 4 is 2. Times 8 is 16. And 16 is greater than or equal to -80. So it checks out. Looking at the rest of the page here, are any of that one particularly worth our time going over? The next one. Good morning, Chase. All right. N divided by 5 is greater than 8n minus 14. Ooh. We've got variables on both sides here. We also have that fraction. Okay? Let's undo the fraction first. Since we're going to have to move these 8n's around somewhere, move them over, whatever, let's do that fraction first. How do we get rid of n over 5? What? Yeah, kind of back to standard form, right? Multiply everything by 5. Okay? And you know what? I'm going to do it down below here because it's so late. So we have n divided by 5. We're going to multiply that by 5. And then 8n minus 14 when you multiply by 5 on that right side, everything's got to be multiplied by 5. You essentially create a distributive property here. You can't just multiply the n by 5. You have to multiply the negative 14 by 5 too, which means essentially, you put it into parentheses there. Okay, the whole thing is multiplied by 5. So on the left side, the 5's cancel out with n by itself. On the right side, 5 times 8n is 40n. 5 times negative 14 is negative 70. You have to do everything, each term, when you multiply there. Now we're left with some options. Variables on both sides. Both of them kind of present a problem. If we move our single n over to the right side, now our variables are on the right, which makes the graph a little bit more complicated. If we move our 40n's over to the left side, what's that going to give us? Negative 39n, which means we're going to have to flip our sign, right? Generally, if you're kind of, either way, you've got a problem, I would recommend staying consistent. It's going to happen much more often that you need to flip your sign than have your variable on the right side. So I would tend to gravitate towards, I know the flipping sign rule, I know when I should do it, I'm comfortable with that, I've used it more often, let's just stick with that. So 1n minus 40n's is a negative 39n. I was really mad at my class. Oh my goodness. And that's greater than negative 70. Whew. Okay. Nick.
So, would you ever be this mad at us to trick us like this?
Yeah, I mean, never say never, right? It's certainly possible, but I haven't been yet. If that's haven't been yet. I'm going to rewrite this up here so I've got a little more space to write. Negative 39n is greater than negative 70. Now to get n by itself, we divide it by negative 39, which of course triggers all of our alarms and bells and whistles because we're dividing by that negative number. It's going to cause our inequality symbol to flip. Okay? And I'm guessing that this division, negative 70 divided by negative 39, does not work out very pretty. So in this case, it's better to leave it in fraction form. Okay? In simplest form. How can we simplify negative 70 over negative 39? Colin? Sorry, what'd you say?
70 over 39.
Yes, the two negative signs cancel out. There's no common factor between 70 and 39. So we would just leave it as positive, because the signs do cancel out, 70 39ths. Okay? So we have our number line. 70 39ths is where our graph starts, and anything less than that is going to work. Okay? Is going to work.
So we could plug in, do like what? To plug it in?
So when the plugging in goes to show how you check your answer, a number like that, 70 39ths, I would just use 0, right? Because 0, we know, since that number is positive, we know 0 is going to be over here somewhere. And we know it's part of our solution set. And that way it's going to avoid working with a whole bunch of fractions. Like if we pick 1, we got 1/5 over here. That's not fun to work with. We could pick 5, but is 5 going to be on that side of things or that side of things? Just use 0. Because now you get 0 over 5 is greater than 8 times 0 minus 14. This is super easy to work with, right? Because 0 divided by anything is 0. Anything times 0 is 0. 0 minus 14 is negative 14. Okay, pretty easy to work with here. And 0 is greater than negative 14, so it works, as it should, because 0 is in our solution set, and there we have it.
We're gonna have some homework.
A little bit of homework today. Let's go down to the next row here, because think back to PO7, when there were no solution or infinite solutions, right? We've talked about, it's come on a bell ringer recently. What causes an equation to have no solution or all solutions? What are you looking for? What's going to tell you? Caitlin?
when the variable is same on both sides.
Right, we have the same number of variable on both sides. That is also true for an inequality. Okay? We look at this first one and we see we have 8 n's and 8 n's on both sides. What's going to happen with those 8 n's when we start to move them from one side to the other?
They're gonna
Cancel out. Right? We've reached the level of special situation here. Okay? Because we have the same number of variables, they will cancel out, and we're left with -4 is greater than 7. Is that true?
No.
No. Therefore, is this going to be a no solution or an all solution? No solution. Okay? Because our statement that we're left with is false. -4 is not greater than 7. Our next one. We get to do a little bit of simplifying here. We have 3 n's and 4 n's. Total we have 7 n's. We don't use opposite operations because they're on the same side, right? We only use opposite operations when we're moving from one side to the other. That's not what we're doing here with the 3n and the 4n. But we notice we have the same number of n's on both sides now. Both sides have 7. They're going to cancel out. And we're left with 2 is less than or equal to 6. True or false?
True.
True. Therefore, no solution or all? All solutions. That double stemmed R means all real numbers. Okay. The last one, try it on your own. Take 30, 45 seconds. Try that one on your own. You see parentheses, so start by distributing. (12n plus 18 is greater than 12n minus 19. We see the same number of variables on both sides. That means they're just going to cancel out. We're left with the statement 18 is greater than -19. Don't forget that sign belongs to the number, right? Is that true?
Yes.
Yes, it is. All real numbers. This one was set up for if you missed this negative sign here, if you forgot that belonged to 19, you would have gotten 18 is greater than 19, which of course is not true. So you would put no solution here. Remember that sign, okay? It changes everything, right? It changes it from no solution to all solutions. Those signs make a difference. Especially that one, because it's a subtraction. Difference is subtraction.
Oh.
All right. Questions on anything? No one's going to ask why or how math can be this fun.
Well, it's not that fun.
Not
How? Okay. Your homework for Monday is the second page. They are all multi-step inequalities. Remember, when you have parentheses, distribute. Variables on both sides, get them on the same side with opposite operations. Parentheses and variables on both sides. Ugh. This one, what did you do first here? I'll throw you a bone. What would you do first for 2n plus 10? The whole thing divided by 6, greater than 4.
Multiply by 6.
Multiply by 6 to get rid of that fraction. Okay? Multiply by 6 to undo that fraction, and you're left with 2n plus 10 is greater than 24. Okay, there's your hint. Nick, did you get that hint?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Multiply by 6 to start there. Same thing here. Similar. Get rid of that fraction first. And here we've got some distribution. Variable on both sides as well. And then word problems to end it. Okay. You've got about 2 minutes to work. I don't think I've got any other announcements for you. Look back at PO7 where we talked about how to distribute combined like terms. If you're stuck, PO7 can be a big help. That's my math.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.